Hey everyone, my name is Yarrow and you're listening to the DIY Small Business Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I was a bit at a loss about what to talk about this week, but I really wanted to share something useful with you. So I asked on Instagram what people want to hear about, and someone asked about low energy ways of maintaining a business while being chronically ill. And I really loved this question because I think many of you are working in your business with limitations, or many of you are currently in a situation where maybe employment isn't working for you, or you're not currently working but you would like to start a business in a way that's sustainable and maybe even regenerative. So I'm excited to talk about this, and thank you so much for asking. I want to just make a few announcements, actually just one. No, two. I'm sorry. So the first one is that I'm reopening the Embodied Business community at the end of August, so in 2 or 3 weeks, and it will be open for 2 weeks, and then we're going into a live round together. So as you know, I'm opening this like 3 times a year, and that's because I really like to make the onboarding process really personal and get in touch with people individually. I'll have sessions with everyone who's joining us to give one-on-one support, and to kind of show you around and answer any questions that you might have. The Embodied Business community is a year-long program. There's monthly group coaching. There's also monthly themed live workshops. We have regular co-working sessions online. There's Monday accountability posts. There's a network on Mighty Networks. What else? Quarterly business planning sessions. So it's a lot. It's really extensive, and it's built around a 10-module online course that you can go through on your own or at your own pace. But I really wanted to create a really supportive support structure around that as well. So you're not on your own just kind of watching videos, but you have the group coaching to ask questions. You have all these people to connect with. There's around 60 of us at the moment. And so it's really exciting and fun. I always leave our calls together so much more energized, and I love that it's small and intimate enough to really get to know people. But there's also a wide range of practitioners. There's lots of body workers, there's some artists and writers, and coaches, so all kinds of businesses I think are represented, and that's really cool and exciting. So it will be $300 for the year, or 3 payments of $100. And if you want to get notified, you can get on a wait list. I'll link to that in the show notes. The other announcement is that I'm running another free workshop on the 10th next week around money mindset work, which is a really popular topic. Whenever I run that, lots of people sign up, and I'm excited for it. So you can join that as well. It's free. It's a good way to get to know my teaching style and ask any questions, and also to meet some like-minded people. Okay, so now about today's topic, low energy ways to maintain your business while being chronically ill. So I made a list of things that came to mind from my experience in my own business and from working with clients, and it's by no means an extensive list, but I hope that there's some useful approaches that you can work with in there. So the first thing I always recommend is to get an overview of what really needs to get done in your business, and what of that is a story. So for example, if you think that you have to be on Instagram every day, that might be a story, but it might also be something that is actually useful for your business. And so this first overview, I think, is about becoming more discerning with the tasks that you actually have on your plate. And some people enjoy making that in a visual sense, so maybe a mood board, or a mind map, and other people love making a list that you can prioritize in order. But yeah, the first step is really getting an overview, like what are the tasks that you're currently working with in your business, and which of those are actually essential. And that might make the list a little bit smaller, which is great for times in which you just don't have enough energy to do all the things that you usually do. The next thing I think that's really important is to redefine success, which I know is such an overused phrase and can mean so many different things, but I want to illustrate this a little bit more. I think I've been in this business for 5.5 years now, and in the beginning, my ideas of what success or feeling fulfilled or feeling rewarded would look like was so different. It was so much shaped by other people's ideas or mainstream ideas of success. it was a lot about money. And I'm not trying to say with that money isn't important, or that just wanting financial stability is wrong. It's not. But yeah, I think at the beginning I was so overwhelmed and so open to influence from the outside that I wasn't able to really connect with my own desires and with all the other ways in which I feel that my business is really rewarding right now. So, for example, I feel really grateful that I get to do fairly creative work, I get to have really good boundaries, I get to be flexible with my time and my energy. I work with people that I really enjoy and share values with, and all those things really contribute so much to my well-being that I find them, to be really essential, and they define what success means to me. So they could be different for you, of course, but again, I really encourage you to write that down. If you're enjoying the tarot or oracle cards, maybe you want to make this a ritual. But really writing it down, I think, is super powerful. Even if you think this is common sense, it will change over time, and it's really important to revisit these ideas that you have. And as you navigate the future of your business and all those micro decisions that we're making every day, to check back on your values in your list and to think about, what tasks are actually essential and what are my ideas around success, what feels really important to me right now. Another important question that I think we need to ask ourselves all the time is, what is really effective in reaching those goals and building a business that feels rewarding and that is financially stable? And to give another example for that, I long had this really strong idea, or strong held belief, that I needed to be on Instagram. And some of you will know that I have left Instagram for 6 months last year and my business didn't crumble. And it was great. It really gave me a lot of headspace. I wrote a lot of zines in that time. I did more podcasting. And I found that what was actually had been true for a while, but most of my business came through recommendations anyway, and I didn't need to be on social media every day. And it was really through experimenting that became clear on that. That wasn't something that was immediately obvious in my business in terms of its effectiveness. And so in that time, I also sat down and had a look at the projects that I most enjoyed in the past 2 years and where they had come from. And I found that most people really came through recommendations, and then many people also came through listening to my podcast or hearing an interview somewhere else. And so I realized that actually, building community and being in conversation with people, giving interviews, having other people on the show, really allowing for conversations that are bigger than what can fit on Instagram has been so much more effective in that sense in my business. And then, of course, we can also ask, like, what does it mean to be effective? And I want to say, I think that effectiveness isn't exclusive to capitalism, even though being very efficient is kind of an important feature of working within capitalism. Being effective can still be something revolutionary and powerful and really important, because we want to work with the little energy and time that we have in the best way possible. And so, that can look so many different ways, but I think it's really important to ask that question. And so if you have tasks in your business that feel draining or impossible, or just that take up too much time and energy, really sit down and ask yourself if they are effective and important. And if you find that they are effective and they are important, but you just don't have it in you to get to them as much as you'd like, then you can consider hire them out. There's no shame about that. If you can't afford that, if it's not within your budget, you could consider trading with someone else. So maybe you have a skill that's really important to someone else, and maybe you can find some kind of trading arrangement. I really encourage that in the community that I run, and I think for most of us, it's not the case that we can afford just hiring something out. It might also be uncomfortable. We would need to be able to, what's the word? What is the word for sharing responsibility? Anyway, I will leave this here, but I will just say, I think, building a team in a way that's kind and generous and supportive is a big task. It's not something that I would want to do or feel able to do. And so I'm not hiring stuff out, but there's definitely stuff that I enjoy less. And sometimes I trade, and that feels really good because I think there's something very rehumanizing in having conversations with people and saying, like, hey, this is what I can do, what I'm good at. I would love to help you with that, and I'm wondering if you could help me with this other thing. And it doesn't always have to be a financial transaction. So I think, gosh, in the 5.5 years that I've run this business now, I must have done at least like 20 trades probably for all kinds of things, and that's not always possible. I'm not always able to say yes to that when I can. It's mostly been a really positive experience, and I'm glad that I got to experience the support of others in this way. Another tip that I want to share that maybe is also common sense but actually really often overlooked is to intentionally connect with other people that are chronically ill and are building a business to feel less alone. I think that's really important. I identified that as something really meaningful to me early on, and it's part of the reason I started the Embodied Business community. I feel like I get to be myself in this space, and I get to be honest about what it's like and what's hard sometimes, but also what's beautiful, and that feels really good to me. Another thing that works for me is finding ways to track my energy and to group tasks together, and that kind of creates like an overlap of maps done. Okay, let me be more specific here. So for me, I'm really noticing that in my cycle throughout the month, I have different energy levels and also different creative moods. So I'm trying to track that as much as I can. Not necessarily every day, but like I have a good sense of where I'm at in my cycle at any given point in time. And that means that I can sometimes shift or batch things in a way that's kind of aligned with my different energy levels. And it could be something totally different for you. Maybe it's the season of the year that has an impact. Maybe, like many other people, you're impacted by the cold and dark. Maybe there's certain dates in your calendar that are difficult and bring stuff up for you. Whatever it is, like just getting an overview and working around that and allowing yourself to remember that that's really valid, that those needs are important and necessary, and that denying them is not going to make your work any easier. That's a thing that I need to tell myself all the time. And then what I mean by batching tasks is, so I have an Excel sheet with all the different tasks in my business, and then I group them into 3 groups, and these are admin, creative, and community. So admin is anything that's kind of like bookkeeping, checking on invoices, filing stuff, communicating certain things, that's just like admin work. And then creative work is anything like coming up with new podcast episodes, doing creative design work, making graphics for myself, updating my websites, making zines, that kind of stuff. And then community is actually facilitating my community, being present there, running workshops, reaching out to people, inviting them to my podcast, asking to be interviewed, that kind of stuff. And for me, those 3 categories make the most sense because they kind of match different moods that I might be in. So admin is something that I can do with relatively little energy, where I don't have creative headspace and I don't have social energy, but I can still do a little bit of admin work. So on days where I wake up in that kind of headspace, I'm like, okay, just gonna take it easy today and look at what admin I can do in my business. And when I feel creative, then I really let myself run with that, and I put admin work to the side. And then when I feel I have creative social energy, I make a point to spend even more time in my community and really hang out there and be present. So that works for me. Your categories might be different, but having a think of that about that, I think that's really useful. And then I have a good calendar system, and that I think has to do with boundaries and being organized. I don't keep a to-do list. I actually put everything in my calendar that works best for me. So whenever a task comes in, I assign a time in my calendar. I allow myself lots of wiggle room and lots of spaciousness. So definitely not all my days are fully booked with tasks, but they're there and they don't get forgotten. Everything gets done, and that feels really good for me. And so yeah, maybe that's something you want to consider. think there's also something with your calendar around boundaries that is important to think about when you're working with limited energy. I found boundaries pretty hard to have in the beginning, and what I found helpful now is for me to practice communicating them in smaller and then bigger ways, and also having good systems in place that make that incredibly easy. So, for example, if you are an existing client with me, you have a booking link, and that's how you can see kind of what's available in my calendar. And I will always communicate clearly that people need to book in advance. I ask for at least 24 hours notice if something needs to be cancelled or rescheduled. That's super important for my energy and peace of mind, and also for just feeling respected. And I also communicate clearly if I work on a bigger project, such as a web design, that I need certain things at a certain point in time, and that a delay is going to mean that there will be a rescheduling charge, because I book just one project at a time. So if someone is just 2 weeks late with delivering their content, then that's creating a lot of kind of domino effect problems in my calendar, and I really want to avoid that. So yeah, those things are helpful for me. The booking system I use is called Dipsado. I've also worked with Acuity in the past, which I liked, and it just makes it so much easier. You don't have to go back and forth checking on different time zones with people, and any of that admin work, is just avoidable, I think. And I don't think it's about not wanting to talk to people. I think it's actually about wanting to be able to talk to people about things that really matter, such as how you want to work together and what you appreciate about someone, rather than talking about time zones, which is actually really boring. And yeah, within this booking system and grouping my tasks, I also really find batching super important. So for my energy, and especially my brain, it's really important to not go in and out of 10 different tasks every day. So that means that I batch recording episodes sometimes. I batch definitely my emails. I don't check my emails 1,000 times throughout the day. I usually get on top of my inbox in the morning, and then I check back in the late evening, and that's it. And that feels really good to me. And again, everything gets done, everyone gets their replies, but I'm not kind of constantly distracted in 10 different things. And yeah, those are the things that I feel helpful for me at the moment. I'm going to recap what I mentioned. So first I said getting an overview is really important. So thinking about what the story is, what is actually really important, what is effective in your business, and what does success look like for you at the moment. Maybe that's having late mornings, having 2 days off, whatever works. And then connecting with other chronically ill folks is really important, I think. Finding ways of tracking your energy and grouping the different tasks that you're working on, batching things, and then having good boundaries and a good system to hold them in place that doesn't cost so much of your energy. I think that's really important as well. For example, to give you another example, I used to offer calls throughout the week, Monday to Friday, and it kind of never really gave me a break or the chance to take a full day off spontaneously if I needed it, because I didn't want to cancel those calls. And so now I'm only offering client calls between Monday and Wednesday, and I initially thought that would be terrible, but actually it has worked out totally fine. I have much more headspace to be really present with my calls in that shorter period of time. And then Thursday is usually my day to catch up on design work for clients and do some admin. And then Friday I usually take off unless there's something wild happening. And it's fantastic. It really works so well for me, and I wish that for everyone. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. I really hope this has been helpful. Another reminder to get on the waitlist for the Embodied Business community if you'd like, and also to check out the free workshops that I'm running. And I'm sending so much love your way. Bye!